Hi, welcome to Bryant Systems. I'm Scott Bryant. I just want to talk to you today about, are our politicians legalized gangsters? And the reason why I'm talking about the politicians being legalized gangsters is that they sit in the Houses of Commons on question time and they barrage rude questions at each other and throw rude questions back and rude answers if David Cameron doesn't like what you're saying to him. But they do it in a way that's not as offensive as a swear word. So they do it in a smart way, which I like. But what I don't like is that during question times to the Prime Minister, you've got lots of politicians in the Conservative side and the Labour side and the STP. They're falling asleep, they're on their phones and they're on their iPads. They're not really paying attention. Now, I do a normal job, like I'm a trainer. If I don't pay attention to my client, I get fired. If I don't know my subject matter deep enough, I get fired. If I'm on my iPad playing on it, I get fired. So does anyone in a normal job. So I've been watching a fair bit of politics. I'm going to stop now, but I want to put this video out there simply because I do feel that they're legalized gangsters. They just pass laws, but they don't understand how much it's going to affect the public. Or they do know how much it's going to affect the public, so they just fucking do it anyway. So they now recently said that they're going to ban homeopaths, which that was the last video that I just uploaded. And then they said that through a study that bacon and sausages were bad for you. Then before that it was chicken. Then before that it was steak. Then before that it was apples. Then before that it was something else. But everyone's getting more and more confused every day. And I see that from the clients I see. I have to educate them and show them by proof how doing a detox can make you feel better, or how eating certain food groups you can lose weight. Now, if you look at the politicians that are in power, you look at David Cameron. He's got big dark lines under his eyes. He looks really puffy. He recently said that he's got a back issue. So it's showing that his body's breaking down. Then if we look at the Lord Mayor, he's even worse. He's really blown up, he's really big, and he's riding a bike. He's going to have a heart attack on that soon, or get run over. One of the two. But the reason why I'm calling them legalized gangsters is because they seem to can do whatever they want. When the scandal of politicians, cash for questions, and when the politicians were fiddling their expenses, which they're still doing, really, David Cameron was caught for that. He paid it back, but he didn't get a reprimand. He didn't go to prison. He didn't get really told off for that. The same with the politician that was in charge of the decency among politicians and about how they behave. He was caught snorting coke off a brass's press, and he was with a prostitute, and he put his wife's picture down. It went to court, come out of court, nothing was done to him. It's still in the Houses of Commons. So if that's not legalised gangsters, I don't know what is. It seems if you're a lord or a lady, you can do whatever you want, as long as you've got lots of that. Now, I don't believe that that is right, and I'm sure that the bigger percentage of the population in this country do not agree with that. Especially when you watch Question Times and the way that they talk to each other and how childish they are when they're in that place. But what I notice is that you see them falling asleep. You see them on their iPads. You see them on their phone texting people. Now, I've got a friend, he works on a building site. He's not allowed to use his phone. So if the politicians are not legalised gangsters, then what are they? Are they just totally a law to their own? But they not held responsible for anything? The same as, what was it, 2,000 people, I think, died from having their benefits stopped. They committed suicide. So really, the government has committed murder. They've committed murder by bringing in these such stringent things to people that are so vulnerable that they need help, that they've gone and committed suicide. That's not been national news. It's not been flashed over the BBC and flashed over everywhere. Politicians kill 2,000 people that had their benefits stopped. Why is that? Why was that not shown? Why is it when there's big demonstrations now from different people that are not happy, are then not shown in the national media, especially on the BBC? Or if they do show it, they show a really small bit of it. Is it because they don't want people to know what really is going on? Isn't that what gangsters do? Isn't a gangster untouchable, but he uses violence? Well, instead of using violence, the politician used the law, and they changed the law according to how they want to change it. Like David Cameron wants to get rid of human rights. Now, I don't agree with that. We're all human beings. We should be allowed to do what we want within the law, as long as you stay within the law. But as we see time and time and time again, the legalized gangsters or politicians are not staying within the law. They don't mention it until they're bloody caught. One of them was caught watching porn. Another one was caught paying huge amounts of money for, what was it, a horse riding stable type thing before he became a politician, but then claimed tax on it when he was. So this is so wrong. This is so wrong, and I can see why many, many, many people do not believe in politics. I will never, ever, ever vote again, simply because when you vote, nothing changes. Nothing changes. If it does change, it changes for the worst. If you look at what the Conservatives are doing, some of the policies I really agree with, some of them I don't. I don't agree with cutting people's working tax credits when they're going to lose, £1,300 a year that may pay the gas and electric bill because they can't pay it, or their rent, or whatever, because everything is so astronomically expensive now. The politicians are not in reality with the wages that they get, the backhanders that they get, the offshore accounts that they've got. Really, we need working class people in politics that can help working class people and know what it's like to sign on, know what it's like to struggle, know what it's like to not be able to pay a bill and be worried about the bill that you need to pay constantly until the money appears or you get paid. These politicians do not care about us. All they care about is themselves. Yeah, there may be a good few out of many, many bad apples. They are legalized gangsters, in my view, because they legalize what the hell that they want. They do what they want, as I said about that Lord guy that went to court, blah, 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 all washed under the table. That's been hidden. The same about the paedophilia. That's gone quiet on that, even though they found the dossier on all the high-profile paedophiles. Margaret Thatcher knew about the paedophiles. That politician that died, that was really, really sad. He died, but by the looks of it, he was a paedophile. But they put it on national TV on the BBC about how it might have all been lies, but they only spoke to one person out of many people he abused, and the stories about Dolphin Square and stuff like that. So I believe that politicians are legalized gangsters. They do exactly what they want. They're not accountable to anybody, because if they were, things wouldn't be as tough as they are for normal working people. And I believe that it takes they're in for 5 years and they get another 5 years, they screw everything up, and then the next lot have to try and change it or screw it up even more. So that's why I choose not to vote now, because I've lost total faith in politicians, in what they do and how they're supposed to be helping us. But what they seem to be doing is helping themselves, lining their own pockets, and not making life easy for normal people. they're making it worse and worse for normal people. In some respects, I like what they've done with the job centre. Now they've brought in a rule where they don't sanction people straight away. They give them a warning, which that's fair. I've seen people in the job centre that can be quite nasty, so the staff shouldn't have to put up with any of that. But then the staff shouldn't be talking down to the person and should have respect for them, even if they're having a hard time, or even if they've been unemployed for 20 years or 10 years. It isn't the right thing to be nasty to somebody and treat everybody the same. We're all different. I'm not saying that all politicians are legalised gangsters, but you know who you are out there in the world of gangsterness, in the politicians. So I'm Scott Bryant of Bryant Systems. I hope you've enjoyed my blog on the things that I see that make me think that they're legalised gangsters. It'd be nice for a politician to prove me wrong. Now, I worked with one of the press aides to John Prescott many, many years ago, and he was telling me about all the things a politician gets. So if a politician comes out of power or leaves the Conservative Party, he gets 6 months full pay. 6 months full pay to leave. And he doesn't have to work. Can you believe that? They don't pay for their gas, they don't pay for their electric, they don't pay for their TV license, and they don't pay for their mobile phones. They get it all free, and that's why they push these different companies through. When you hear them talking about, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to have more Wi-Fi, we want to get rid of it's been said in the media that they want to get rid of WhatsApp because everybody's using it and it's free. So this press aide that I was working with, he was a lovely, lovely guy, and he was telling me lots and lots of stuff that really opened my eyes. And then 6 months to a year later, it all come out in the media. So it'd be interesting to see what else comes out in the media over time about rude boy, gangster politicians that fall asleep in the Houses of Commons. They're on their texting, they're on their iPads. They look like they're working, but are they? They might be texting their girlfriend. They might be watching porn on it. We don't know. So if you agree with me about what I'm talking about, legalised gangster politicians doing exactly what they want to do, passing whatever they want to do. Yeah, they have votes, but they're all in each other's pockets. They all know each other really, really well. There's going to be, probably 5% of them are going to have the general public's heart and know what it feels like to be unemployed or be on working tax credits and struggling. So I'm Scott Bryant of Bryant Systems. I've loved talking to you today. Please please subscribe that way. And if you don't believe me about some of the stuff that I'm talking about, go to David Icke's website, davidicke.com, or his YouTube channel, and you can see a lot of the stuff that he's talking about has all come true over a 20-year period. And you can see that in the media, it's all coming true. So thanks very much, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.